What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. Today, I bought something new, and I think that it's really going to help me out because I haven't had it up to this point, but these longer trips, they concern me a bit more, and I think that I would really like to have this added information. And being that we all need more information, especially when it comes to monitoring our system, I think this thing is really going to come in handy. So if you guys want to check it out with me, let's do it. This is one of those cheap Chinese rebranded tire pressure monitoring systems. Now, I'm sure that most of you, especially if you have an older vehicle and you don't happen to have a tire pressure monitoring system in your car, there's probably at least more than a few of you that have went out and bought one of these for your car. But I already have one in my truck, but this one I wanted to get for the camper. I don't have the best tires on this camper. It's just whatever came with the camper when I bought them. So when they start to show a bit of wear, or when I start to feel like they're meh or whatever, I'll swap them out for sure. But until then, I'm going to be using this as a means to at least keep keep tabs on it while I'm driving, so that I don't have a big ass blowout in the middle of the highway and then have someone like honking and shit, making a big scene as we're driving down the road. I figured we could avoid all that altogether. At least with this thing, I'll be able to see exactly what the tire pressure is in the vehicle from my truck, and I'll know if the thing actually needs a little bit of a break, if they're overheating, or if they need a little bit of air, if they seem a little underinflated. Okay, so this is the monitor itself. As you can see, it's pretty daggone small, not very big. Like I said, I have medium-sized hands, and it doesn't really take up that much room. It basically just consists of this front screen, 3 buttons up here on the very top, and it also has a built-in solar panel so that, you know, you don't have to rely on always having it plugged up. If you mount this on your dash, it'll obviously gather sunlight directly from the dash area. That's pretty much it, except for a plug here on this right-hand side. It's a micro USB port, so that, you know, maybe you've had several cloudy days or something and you actually need to plug it up. It's kind of a fail-safe so that, you know, if that happens, you can still plug it into your vehicle and be able to monitor your tire pressure system without having to worry about that. Other than that, there's not anything else on this unit. It's pretty lightweight, feels like cheap plastic, feels like, you know, mediocre construction, but ultimately that's what I was expecting anyway. It does come with the 4 tire pressure monitors. They're just basic little caps, and each one of them has a label on it. Like this one says FR, so this would be like, you know, front right. The other one has like rear left, front left. So these are them. Like I said, pretty basic. They're just simple labels. So front left, front right, rear left, rear right. You basically just screw these little guys on, and they begin to read the pressure directly from the valve. It's really not much harder than that. There is some knurling here on the side edge. That is so that you can remove this bottom cap, and it has a battery on the inside. From the reports that I've seen, each of these batteries should last roughly about 1.5 to 2 years. So you're not going to have to swap these batteries out like a lot. So 2 years, I would say, is well worth the price. This was a $30 unit or so. The unit also does come with a charging cable, so that, like I said, if your solar panel doesn't work, you can plug it in. It also comes with a spanner wrench, some adhesive in here, and it also has some locking nuts that you can... So if this doesn't screw very far down onto your stem, you can screw this up and make the connection a little bit tighter. So my stems are not very long, so I'm hoping that these accommodate just fine though. So this is the front right. Sweet, clears just fine. And this is the rear right. Fantastic. So from what I've read, this unit will detect motion. It'll detect vibration, and then that is what will actually turn this unit on. But if you want to check things out beforehand, you can push and hold this left button. I think it's for about 3 to 5 seconds, and you can force it to turn on. And it's completely dead. Got to plug it up. Okay. It's not been a good time so far. So, as you can hear, it just keeps on beeping relentlessly. I don't really know what the deal is, to be honest with you. Like, it's reading way lower than what my tire gauges are actually saying. Like, I've got a couple of manual tire gauges. My tire gauges say they're around 65, 66 PSI, which are what my trailer tires are rated for. But right now, the sensor is reading roughly 26 to 28 PSI on every single one of my tires. Alright, so as you can see, the low pressure setting, the highest I can make it is 29 PSI. So obviously, all 4 of these are just going to continuously flash because it thinks that it's below 29 PSI. Well, I mean, in reality, that would mean that my tire are just, they're already way flat. So it just keeps beeping, right? So it was saying that this sensor was reading 28 PSI. Alright, so I'm popping the sensor off. And now I'm going to attach this with an analog PSI gauge. Alright. As you can see, 65 PSI on this tire. Now, I'm going to take this same sensor and I'm going to put it on my truck tire. This one should be roughly 55 to 60 PSI. Alright, it's on there nice and tight. Now let's go check out this. And there you have it. It's reading correctly the truck tire. So why it's not reading the trailer tires correctly, I have no idea. Now I'm going to take the same analog PSI gauge, I'm going to attach this tire and just verify that it's roughly 57 PSI. And what do you know? 57 PSI. So I know that this thing is capable of reading correctly. But on the trailer tires, it's just not doing it. Now, I did read a couple of reviews on Amazon, and they were saying that it takes a couple of instances of driving or something or another so that the pressure gauges can self-calibrate. But I haven't driven my truck all day today, and it's reading the truck tires just fine. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of at a loss. Not to mention, the instructions on these are poorly, like ridiculously poorly translated Chinese instructions. You really need to do some deciphering in order to understand what this thing is saying. Because it defaults from the factory as far as like Celsius, but you can swap it over to Fahrenheit. It does default from the factory. It reads pressure in bars instead of PSI, which you can switch. It's been kind of a pain thus far. I don't know that I'm going to mess with it too much more today. I'm just kind of curious if anyone else has had any experience with this solar tire pressure monitoring system. I think that this would be better than nothing. But if this is as inaccurate as it's reading right now, you might as well have nothing. Okay, I think I figured it out. I think that this thing, like, I bought this specific model because it originally said that that there were a couple different models. Some of them only went up to, say, like, I don't know, 50 or so PSI. And this one specifically said that it was going up to 87 PSI. Well, I just now inflated the truck tire to its recommended cold PSI of 65, just like my trailer tires, and now it's reading that it's only 25 PSI. So I think that this has an upper limit, and when it reaches that upper limit, then it just defaults to, holy crap, I have no idea, and it just starts to bomb out. I don't know exactly what the upper limit is on these sensors, but like I said, it should have been up in the 80s, but it's just not. Not only are my manual gauges reading properly, the digital meter is actually reading properly when it's below a certain PSI. But when it gets above, I'm guessing that it's probably the 60 PSI range. As soon as it gets above that amount, it just doesn't know what to do. It has absolutely no clue. So most truck and trailer tires are much higher than 60 PSI. Some of them are only about 65, which are what mine are rated for. Some of them are even rated for, like, I don't know, 80 PSI. It just depends on the type of tire and what the manufacturer recommends for that specific tire. And if that's the case, then I cannot recommend this as a good alternative to maybe a higher priced model that has a higher upper PSI limit. Obviously, this thing is just not going to cut it. So the tire pressure monitor was reading fine when it was about 57 PSI, but as soon as I inflated it to 65, because I'm getting ready to go on a long trip and I want to make sure that the tire pressures are good, it just started to bomb out even on my truck tires, whereas before it was working just fine. It's just a rebranded. Like, there's probably 10 different companies on Amazon that are selling this exact same one. So if you guys have any information for me, maybe some information that you would like to share with the community that might help them out, not only would I appreciate it, I'm sure they would appreciate it as well. Any tips or tricks, more than welcome. But not everything is a winner, my friends. At any rate, thanks so much for watching yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I'll see you guys again on the next one. Peace.